I forgot what all the buttons do. All right, we're live. I do got to do a sound check really quick. It didn't work on my phone last time. Maybe it'll work on my phone this time, so I don't get a weird echo like I did last time. Stream manager. Okay. Okay, I can hear myself. Give me a sound check here.
This is a sound check 1, 2.
All right, we're good. We're rolling. We're beautiful. We're more beautiful than
Love
we've
to
ever
hear it.
been in our lives. Oh, right. You know what? I should tweet about it. I should tweet about it. Did I tweet about the last one? If I
I
didn't
think you
tweet
did.
about last week, then I won't tweet about this week.
I don't remember what you tweet about, man.
No! My pinned tweet was a retweet of somebody and they went private. I don't think I did. Well, we'll tweet about it this week. How about that? Class is back in session. F101. 2025 starts now. Technically it started last week, but the internet doesn't need to know that. Call me Rowlet. Anyone know what my Twitch name is? Got it. Figured it out. All right. So it is time. This is an easier week. This will be the short. I envision this being the shortest week that we do. This will be the shortest stream. Mainly because there's only one thing really to do. We already did testing review. We already did the off-season review and the F1 refresher last week. I think that was a good call. So now we are
I
all
agree.
about it's just we got breaking news and we've got the Australia preview and that's it. And then we're just gonna roll. We're gonna rock and roll. All right. Breaking news.
Sounds
We
good.
got 3 pieces of breaking news.
Okay, hit me with it.
Cadillac has received official approval to be the 11th team on the grid in 2026. This didn't happen this week. This happened last week, but it's pretty exciting. There's going to be 22 cars instead of 20. So, 2 new seats are opening up next year. There's already speculation on who's getting it. We'll get into it later as it gets closer to that time. But it's super exciting. There's another American team to root for, which for, a lot of people is exciting because Haas hasn't been very good lately and their ownership is kind of crappy. So it's hard to root for them. But now it's fun to root for them again because they're kind of good. And last year they had a good lineup. And this year they have a kind of fun lineup. It's kind of trial by fire for Behrman because Ocon is kind of got a reputation of being a bad teammate. But whatever. So there'll be 2 American teams which will be super fun. Cadillac is a big name. They're not really an F1 name, but they're a big American name. And you can't do Ford because they're partnering with Red Bull in 2026. So you got to do someone else. And Cadillac, jumped at the opportunity. So that is piece 1 of news. Hold on 1 second. I have to answer an important text message. My bad. Okay. Piece 2 of news. Stefano Domenicali, I think that's how it's pronounced, will continue as the F1 president and CEO through 2029. This doesn't really affect us, really. It's the same guy. He's been doing stuff. He's brought a lot of popularity to the sport with like the Netflix deal and stuff like that. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of people do like him. He's not as maligned as MBS, Mohammed bin Sulayem, who is the FIA president. Everyone hates that guy. Don't get the 2 confused. People, I think, kind of like Stefano, or at least they tolerate him way more than they tolerate MBS. Everyone hates MBS, rightfully so, because he sucks. And the last piece of news: Alpine have signed Kush Maney as their 4th reserve driver. He's an Indian, uh, as in from India, not a Native American. And I don't really know anything about him other than they signed him. That's a 4th reserve driver. I don't think any other team has even 3. I think everyone's kind of got 2. I don't really
Is there a
know.
limit?
There
Or
isn't, I don't think. But I think there's like a limit where how many people can drive for your team in a season. So there's no reserve
mm,
driver limit. But I think if it came down to it, if both of Alpine's drivers got sick and all of there was like I think, like in extreme circumstances, Formula One would uh, make an
Make an
exception.
exception.
Yeah, but I don't think there is like a limit in reserve drivers. I think there is a limit to how many people can race, but I don't know about that. Don't quote me on that. It is interesting. Why do you need four reserve drivers? How many more are they going to add in 2030? Are we going to be Alpine reserve drivers? Are they just adding as many people as they want? I don't really know. It's kind of weird. They have so many. And they're not putting them in like junior programs or anything, as far as I know, which is even more bizarre. Like at least with Red Bull, technically everyone in the Red Bull program could be a reserve driver. Obviously, you know, uh, they all have they're all racing in other series and can be called up if need be. But I don't think there is much of a need be. So that's the
It makes no sense to have that many in reserve. It almost throws everything clouded. Like,
you're
is
not going
there
to
an
use
order?
them. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to use
Yeah,
that many. You rarely use one. So
right.
Um, I don't know. It's weird. A lot of people are like, "What?" It's been like the general reaction has kind of just been like, "What? What are they
Is
doing?"
this equivalent to the Vikings drafting Daniel Jones at the end of the season last
Or
year?
signing him.
Yeah. Or
Uh,
yeah, signing him, not drafting him. Sorry.
what? Signing someone you're never gonna use? I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they had JG McCarthy, right?
Well, he was. I mean, no, he was injured,
Oh, okay.
but
Well, maybe not as. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the Vikings situation.
they had three other quarterbacks.
Oh, then yes. Yes, it's exactly like that. Well,
Okay.
maybe not exactly, but that's a
Similar.
solid comparison. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like yeah, it's too many cooks in the kitchen. You don't need that many. Get rid of some of your cooks. All right, so that's the breaking news. On to
Okay.
Australia. I have in bold capital letters, it might rain. Holy, there's a 70% chance of rain, which is crazy for a first race. Usually, the first race of the year can get a little sloppy. People kind of get back into the groove. You never know what can happen in any race, but especially in the first race. And when it might rain on a street circuit, with a lot of rookies. I mean, there is some carnage potential here, some chaos and some carnage potential. Obviously, we don't want carnage. We want chaos. We don't necessarily want carnage if no one gets hurt and it's just the cars. That's cool. Obviously, no, we don't want anyone to get hurt, regardless of what you may feel about certain drivers and what I may have said about certain drivers in the past in private conversations. Um, it is in Australia, so qualifying is this is in Eastern Standard Time. Qualifying is Saturday, March 15th at 1 in the morning, and the race is Sunday, March 16th at midnight. I will not be watching live. I don't think I can stay up that. Like I can get to midnight, but the race if there's no incidents is an hour and a half. I don't know if I can get to 1:30. I can get to midnight, but I don't know if I can get to 1:30 anymore.
You
And if
don't have
there's
the skills you used to have.
yeah, and if there's red flags and safety cars, like 2023 Australia was 3 hours long,
Was
and
it
I can't.
really?
Yeah, because there was three different red flags. It was a mess.
Jesus.
Watch the highlights of 2023. They actually F1 just did a video about the chaos of Australia 2023. I'll send it in our group chat. Um. Uh.
But to those watching at home, you should go look it up.
Yes. It was so chaotic. These are going on YouTube, so if anyone's there, they're so chaotic. It was so long. So if that happens, I mean that's till 3 a.m. I definitely can't do that. So anyway, I have a new section, home race. I'm just going to detail anytime it's someone's home race, just so everyone knows.
This is
Piastri and
Piastri.
Yep, Piastri and Doohan are both Australian, and I have Lawson adjacent. He's from New Zealand. I feel like that's close enough. Australia, anytime someone from New Zealand does something good, Australia claims them. But if someone from New Zealand is bad or does something bad, they're like they're from New Zealand. But like if they're like a really talented athlete or like an actor or something, Australians are like, they're New Zealand, but they're also like they're kind of like they're us. You know what I mean? So Lawson's adjacent, and it's as close as he's going to get to a home race. So at least
Right.
he, at least it's close enough. Like Isaac Hadjar, one of the rookies, he's from France. He doesn't get a home race. So,
Okay.
uh, well, which is fair because the French circuit was so. I'm glad they got rid of it. It was so boring to watch, and it was ugly. Oh man. Anyway, well, there were stripes everywhere. It was a mess. Um, So that's the home race. Two and a half, let's call it. Two and a half people have a home race.
Okay.
Um, there's a lot of big stories, a lot of high expectations. It really feels like a tonal shift from last year. Comparing this year to last year is so wild. Last year, first race of the year was Bahrain. People don't really like a lot of the Middle Eastern races because they're kind of boring and there's a lot of sketchy money involved and blah, blah, blah. But aside from that, last year, the first race, everyone was the same. There was not a single driver lineup change at all. 2023, the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024, the last race of 23, first race of 24, same drivers, same teams, and kind of the same pecking order. And people were like, it's a little boring. It's a little not, it's like not as exciting. Um, we had all, I'm a Red Bull fan, so I was kind of hyped because everyone was kind of recovering from the Red Bull domination fatigue, where in 2023 Red Bull won all but one race, and Max Verstappen won most of those races. So a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, it's the same grid. It's just gonna be Red Bull domination." Obviously, that didn't happen. But the vibes going into week one were not as hopeful, not as like fresh, not as exciting as they are this year going into week one. Um, 8 of 10 teams have a different lineup from 2024 this year. And two of those 8 teams have a completely different lineup. So there's been a lot of changes. There's uh everyone's kind of getting closer together in terms of performance because we're at the end of the regulations, so everyone's kind of used to them. Um, there is no clear dominant winner right now. People are kind of expecting McLaren, but Ferrari's been getting a lot of hype. You can't count out Max Verstappen no matter what, even if he's in the slowest car on the grid. Signs in the Williams has got people talking, and obviously we've got Russell and Antonelli and Mercedes. So it's a lot more fresh. There's a lot more possibility, it seems, this week going into week one compared to last year. And if you weren't there last year, and I know you and Sam and Nate were there, but you weren't there in 2023, so you kind of like it's hard to explain how different it feels. But trust
Yeah.
me, it was.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying though. There's the excitement of having that switch up that you don't know what it's gonna bring.
Exactly. It's like me watching the Steelers in week one this year if they have Aaron Rodgers. I'm gonna be excited because Aaron Rodgers is bad now. And I, as a Ravens fan, I love when the Steelers are bad. That's different.
I'm interested to watch DK Metcalf and George Pickens fuck up a poor safety 30 yards down the field while Aaron Rodgers is getting sacked for 10 yards.
Oh man, I can't wait. It's gonna be such a good if that happens, it's gonna be such a good year for me. Anyways, um so the biggest story, and I said this last week, the biggest story of every week for the entire year is gonna be Hamilton in a Ferrari. This is his first race in the Ferrari. Even if no one's saying it, if he doesn't podium, I feel like there's going to be some disappointment. Obviously, Ferrari's strategy, and it might rain, and Ferrari is notorious for having bad strategy calls in the rain. But even then, Hamilton's very strong in the rain. Um, he's obviously a very decorated driver. Everyone thinks that he always has it in him. But I feel like there's going to be a little disappointment if he doesn't podium. Unless the car for both of them is truly awful. Unless they get there and they're horribly, horribly slow. It'll be disappointment for different reasons. It'll be disappointment in Ferrari, not in Hamilton. I feel like Hamilton's kind of got a lot to live up to here. Um, and I think he'll meet it. I think he'll handle it. And he might not podium. He may podium. He may not. But I think that he'll meet the. I don't know if he'll reach. I don't know if he'll meet the hype because the hype for him is going to be so high. But I think he'll do it. I think he won't disappoint. But I think there is a possibility of that. Um, so much hype is around Ferrari this weekend. They look strong in testing. They definitely have the strongest driver pairing on the grid between Leclerc and Hamilton. Verstappen, the other really strong drivers on the grid, Verstappen is paired with a rookie. Russell, I think, he's got his chops paired with a rookie. Now that rookie is considered to be the next Max Verstappen, but we'll see. Sainz is paired with Albon, and Albon's kind of an unknown factor. And Williams might not be that good. Norris and Piastri are pretty strong, but they're not, in my mind, elite. So All the
Mm.
hype is around them. They looked really strong in testing, strong driver pairing. They may not be as fast as McLaren in the race simulations from testing, but I think if neither of them podium, I actually think that they will come away from the weekend disappointed. I think Ferrari's probably expecting at least one driver on the podium, if not both, and to start the year off strong. And maybe hope Hamilton could have his eighth drivers coming for him. You never know. So that's my Ferrari rant. Well, not rant, but Uh, moving on, unless you have anything you'd like to add.
Nope.
Moving on, there's 5 rookies on the grid, 6 if you count Lawson. Kind of went over that. And for 3, went over that last week. And for 3, Bortoletto and Antonelli. This will be their first ever F1 race. Behrman and Doohan. Behrman's got 2 races under his belt. Doohan's got 1. Lawson has 11. And Hadjar, Bortoletto, and Antonelli have not done a full race weekend. So this will be their first full race weekend. I think it's safe to expect some chaos. Maybe definitely a safety car. Maybe not a red flag. But I think there's already some expectations of carnage on turn 1, and I wrote that before finding out it was going to rain. So now that it's going to rain with all these rookies, well, I think there's it's going to be wild. I think there's a lot of people are just bracing for impact basically. But yeah, 5 rookies is exciting. 3 of them it's their first race. Pressure will be on for all of them. No one more so, in my opinion, than Antonelli. He's in the Mercedes. They're going to probably expect points from him week 1. Um, anything? So that's my rookies. Anything you'd like to add or say? Just interrupt me if you ever have anything. Obviously, you know that.
Expecting points out of your first race is a wild thought to me, but
You know who? Uh, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
I'm assuming Max Verstappen did that.
No, not technically. We'll get to it. Lewis Hamilton in his first race got third. But that's Lewis Hamilton.
All right,
Uh,
Lewis, I see you.
uh, before I move on to Antonelli, I have a whole thing about Antonelli. Before that, Australia is technically a street circuit. There's not a lot of runoff, so crashes and going off track are extra costly. There's a lot of
Noted.
close walls. Albin, and that's why when there's a crash, it's a red flag, usually because they're right up against the barriers. Um, Expectations for Antonelli, high or tempered? Total Wolf has compared Antonelli to Verstappen. He said he's the next Max Verstappen. Verstappen for comparison. So here it is. Verstappen's first start in Toro Rosso, now Racing Bulls, retired. Mechanical issue with the car. It wasn't a crash. Mechanical issue. His second, he got 7th place. His first start in a Red Bull, which was a year later, was a race win. Now, comparatively, Mercedes is closer to Red Bull than Racing Bulls in performance, but Verstappen had a year under his belt. Uh, and obviously the cars are different. And Verstappen was racing against Hamilton at the time, but Antonelli's going against Hamilton and Verstappen and Leclerc. So, and the dominant McLaren of Norris and Piastri. So, it's going to be interesting to compare. I didn't write Hamilton's. I'm pretty sure his first race he finished third. I'm like 99% sure about that. Um, but I compared it. I have Verstappen's first 2 race stats because that's the comparison that Toto is using. So I figured I will use the same comparison. So if he gets higher than 7th, that would be amazing, and that would maybe he could be the next Max Verstappen. I've seen F1 did this really cute little video. It was a rookie roundtable. It was the 5 rookies. They're not including Lawson. With Laura Winter, who's one of their presenters. And
Mm-hmm.
she's great. And they were so funny. They're all friends. It was like she was like it was like trying to corral school children almost. It felt like it seemed really fun. But and Antonelli was so funny. She asked the rookies, who do you think is going to be the best rookie battle? And Antonelli said Fernando Alonso. And she was like, no, between the rookies. And Antonelli was like, I know, Fernando. He's a rookie. So, and she didn't get it, but that's okay. Uh,
We'll forgive her.
yeah. And so Antonelli's a lot more bubbly and funny than I think Verstappen is. So I don't know if he has the same killer instinct. He's a great driver. I'm sure he has it on the track, but does he have it to the level? I don't know. I think Verstappen's a different animal. He was raised in a bad situation, in my opinion. I think you get a Verstappen because of the abuse, which is not good. If we got to trade away all future Verstappens for no more abuse, I think I'd take that trade. I'll take that trade. I'll shake on it. Um, but it'll be interesting
Noted.
to compare the two. Um, so McLaren is the front runner, obviously. Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes chasing. I think in that order is what I'm going to say the current like pecking order is McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes. Based on testing as well and kind of just general vibes. Although this weekend could give a more accurate reporting of the pecking order, especially towards the midfield. Like we could see Williams shoot up, we could see Haas do really well, we could see Sauber. They won't, but we could see Sauber do really well. They won't, but they could, but they won't. Don't get your hopes up if you're a Sauber fan, if such a thing exists. If you're a Sauber fan and you're watching this on YouTube, let me know in the comments. And I got questions. DM me on Twitter. Because I have questions for you. So yes, this race will set the tone for the first portion of the season, but likely not the season as a whole. Again, Red Bull domination last year continued in Australia and then it faded. Um, uh, like as the year went on. Speaking of the midfield, I think the midfield battle once again is going to be between Aston, Alpine, Williams, and maybe Racing Bulls and Haas. Haas and Sauber are kind of on the low end predictions because their cars looked awful in testing. They were slow. Behrman's car literally fell apart for no reason. They looked unwieldy. Nate is in chat. Yeah, that McLaren pack came in. Yeah, they did come in, but we'll see what happens. They didn't win. At least they didn't win the drivers. They won the constructors. I'm a McLaren hater. Nate's a Red Bull hater. That's just how it goes. Um, but yeah, so the midfield battle I think is going to be really good again this year. As a Racing Bulls fan, especially, I hope that they can do well. I think I have Aston Martin above Alpine and Williams just because of last year's performance, but I think Alpine might be able to get there. It'll depend how Doohan will do. I think Gasly has some a good shot. Yes, Nate. Unemployed is in my tags. Because it's a squeaks joke that I stole. Um, that's literally it. Um, so in my opinion, Haas probably has a better shot at getting a higher points haul than Sauber. I think that Ocon is he's a race winner. He's a two-time race winner. He knows what it takes to drive well, and I think Behrman is given he's already got some experience in F1. I just think and Sauber's car is so dismal that I think Haas has a better chance. Racing Bulls, as much as it pains me to say, are kind of in no man's land. They don't have a great car, and they have a rookie with Hadjar, even though he's fast. So a lot of eyes are going to be on Sonoda to do well and bring the team most of their points at the start of the season. It's going to be on Sonoda to lead the team, as it has been when he was with Lawson. Not as much when he was with Ricardo, but still. Um, and I really want Sonoda to do well so he can maybe he's looking at Cadillac, or maybe someone else is looking at Cadillac, and Sonoda's looking to fill in there where they end up leaving. So I'm a Sonoda fan. That's just what it's. That's just I'm just gonna be honest. I'm a huge Sonoda fan. I love the guy. I hope he does well. But yeah, RB's kind of in this weird no man's land where they're not. At the end of last year, they weren't as fast as Alpine, Aston Martin, and Haas, but they weren't as slow as Williams and Sauber. They were kind of just there.
Stop.
And Lawson was fighting Checo, but that's more of a statement on Checo's performance than Lawson's and the Red Bull and the Racing Bulls. It's more on Checo. He was really bad last year, and that's why he's not here. So, and Hadjar is apparently very fast. Nate, constructor standing predictions: McLaren, Ferrari, Merc, Red Bull, Williams, Aston, V Carb. It's called Racing Bulls, Nate. By the way, Alpine has Sauber, at least after the first weekend. We don't call them V Carb anymore. They're called Racing Bulls. Get it right. Your opinions are invalid because you don't even know the names of all 10 teams. Uh, I'm kidding, obviously. I disagree with you. I think Aston will finish above Williams because I don't think Albon has it in him. He's had horrible luck in Australia. Um, and I think Alpine will finish above the Racing Bulls. Uh, Other than that, I kind of agree. It is AlphaTauri forever. That was their best name. Um, a lot of people are still Toro Rosso fans, but you know, uh, that was who they were before AlphaTauri. Before that, they were a minority. Whatever. We don't need to get into the history of it. Nate has said in the chat, I believe in the smooth operator, which brings me to my next point: Sainz versus Albon. It's finally time to see if Albon is actually good or overrated because he's had horrible teammates at Williams. No offense to Sargent and Latifi, they're way better than I could ever be, but for F1, they weren't that good, and Albon was kind of blowing him out of the water. I don't think anyone's expecting Sainz to win. I don't think they're even expecting him to podium. They're probably expecting him to get some points. Because, he was the only person in 2023 to win a race not in Red Bull. He won two or three races last year? Three? Was it three? I don't know. Someone check me on that. Um, he won more than one. So I think they're expecting him to do well, give Williams a strong start to the year. Williams has great qualifying pace. It kind of drops off in the race, but if he can qualify high, I think he can keep it there. Um, and they can just kind of do damage limitation with the race pace. And I don't know. We'll see how Albon does. If Sainz blows Albon out of the water, it's gonna be tough for people to want Albon more. Even though he's a great guy and he seems really fun, and he's got like 23 pets or something like that. Um, like they've got rabbits and birds and dogs and cats. I think there's a donkey involved. He's
Hey,
got a
yo,
whole
let's
he's got a
go.
whole account. Yeah, everyone go follow Alex Albon's pet account because if this year goes horrible from him, it might be his only source of income. Uh, Sorry, that was
God
mean.
damn.
I'm sorry, Alex Albon. I'm
God
sorry. I'm
damn.
sorry. I was summoned by the smearing of the good name of my goat Latifi. Dave said in chat. Hi, Dave. Welcome. Dave is here. Yes, that's big news. I was gonna get to it later, but Dave is here. That's another of our friends for anyone who doesn't know. Uh if anyone who doesn't know is watching this. And he has joined the Pick the Podium. I have his podium predictions in my phone right now. And Dave has his own segment in the show, but we gotta get through this first. My last big story is will Stroll finally pick it up and give Aston Martin two cars with a fighting chance? Stroll gets a lot of hate, kind of seen as a nepo baby. And he is. But he's not a terrible driver. He's almost won races. Now, granted, it was when he was in Racing Point, and they may or may not have cheated and by copying Mercedes' car like part for part, which is illegal. But that's all. The pink Mercedes. That's the whole. That's how that was. Checo. Checo had a win in Abu Dhabi. It was crazy. 2022 Mercedes or Racing Point. Go watch it. Go look it up. He's not a terrible driver, but he can't match Alonso right now. Alonso won't be on the team forever or even much longer. As much as we all like to joke about Alonso being a permanent rookie, the dude's 43. The dude started racing before Kimi Antonelli was even born. So he is signed on for Aston Martin. When he's done racing, he's still going to be working with Aston Martin in I think their driver program or in their hypercar or something. He's going to still be with the company, maybe not the F1 team. And he's going to retire eventually. He can't last forever. So what does Aston Martin do when he retires and Stroll maybe still isn't good? So I think I don't think there's any pressure on Stroll because as long as his dad owns the team, he's going to have a seat. But at a point, even Aston Martin's got to be like, look, we got to get rid of this guy and we got to bring on two drivers. And what does Aston Martin do when Alonso retires? Let's say Alonso gets into a huge crash this year and he's like, you know what, I'm done. What does Aston Martin do? There's really no one available that's Alonso level. And the only reason they're finishing well is because they have Alonso. So right now, like if Alonso goes down, Aston Martin's kind of screwed. Nate said Danny Rick returns to Aston. They asked Daniel if he would ever consider coming back to F1. He gave a very hearty no. And I think if he would only ever come back for Red Bull because it's the only team that treated him right. No offense to McLaren, but when Daniel Ricciardo was at McLaren, they did not. It was rough. It was a bad relationship. And the car was really bad. Obviously they're good now, but anyway, I don't see Daniel Ricciardo returning anytime soon. I think last year kind of destroyed Daniel Ricciardo in more ways than one. Shout out to the Zach Brown tattoo. Yes, Daniel Ricciardo did win with McLaren, and Zach Brown got a tattoo of the track. It was at Monza. It was actually a really good race. Monza 2022. I got some rapid fire stories as well. Just rapid fire these off. Russell's first race as Mercedes number one. We'll see how he does as the team leader. Gasly and Ocon can now race each other without team orders, unlike when they were in Alpine. So who knows? Hopefully they line up next to each other. I think that'd be really funny. See who comes out alive in turn one. Probably neither of them. Doing on high alert with Colapinto kind of breathing down his neck. Doing again on a 5 race prove it deal, I believe. So and it's his home race, extra pressure, so Ewan's got to really perform well. And I have in here Ricardo appearance. It is Australia. He is Australian. Everyone in F1 loves him. He might show up. Might be in like the Red Bull garage hanging out. He might be on like the grid before the race. He might be there. Who knows? Keep your eyes out for Daniel Ricciardo. I guarantee you, if he's there, the F1 social media account will let you know because they'll make 1,000 posts about it. And so now is the time for Dave's segment. I call it right now. It's Dave's race predictions. I think we can get a better name in there, maybe some alliteration. For now, it's Dave's race predictions. Dave's prediction for the race is, and this is a direct quote: Verstappen and Hamilton take each other out of the race, leading to controversy and way too many rivals to lovers fanfics. That is Dave's race prediction. Thank you, Dave, for giving me that. Dave will be joining. I would like Dave if you're still here. I would love a race prediction every race. I think that would be. I think that's a fun new segment. And maybe if you don't want to give one, maybe we'll rotate. Maybe we'll just rotate. We'll rotate it down. So maybe next week, Andrew, you can give the bold prediction next week.
Have a look back at them.
Yeah, well, of course. We're gonna look back at all the predictions. But maybe next week, instead of Dave, maybe Andrew, I'll make you do the prediction for the next race, and we'll just go in order.
Oh boy.
And I want Dave says I'm pre-writing fanfic to make sure it comes through. I love that. There's already there. It's there. We should do maybe during one of the off weeks. We'll do a stream where I just read F1 fanfic because it's crazy. I think Verstappen Norris lovers fanfic is more likely. Nate said. No, wrong. You don't know anything. First of all, it's Verstappen and Leclerc. Let's just get that out of the way. There's a lot of F1 fanfic. It's a lot of Toto Wolff and Christian Horner. A lot of Mpreg and a lot of Verstappen and Leclerc. And it's crazy. They have a whole episode in DTS called Frenemies. Yeah, but the DTS thing with Verstappen Norris was so ridiculous, man. When Norris won in Miami, they spliced in footage of Verstappen reacting to losing in Zandvoort because he was upset. It's his home race, and they're like, "Oh, he's so upset he lost in Miami." And Max even called him out. He's like, "I was really happy for Norris. I think I was the second happiest person there, aside from Norris." So, DTS is it's fun. It's entertaining. It's weird though. I did see someone on Twitter say no spoilers for DTS, please, and I was like, it happened in real life. What do you mean no spoilers? It just happened. It's just real. Which is funny, but we'll see. They have a whole episode in DTS called Friendlies. They do. And one thing I really liked about that episode is that every time Max was driving, they were playing the Prowler theme basically. Like they would play like the they would just play the that like high pitched like wail. It was just so bizarre. They really are painting Max as the villain, and I love that for him because he is the villain, but not in the way that everyone thinks he is. He's just kind of dominant, and everyone's scared of him because he's so good, not because he's going to kill you. Which is what Drive to Survive is really kind of making it feel like. So yes, that's Dave's bold prediction. Maybe Andrew, next week I'll have you give one, and then it'll be me, and then it'll be Nate, then it'll be Sam, then it'll be Dave. We'll just go in the pick the podium order. The real positioning battle happens on Wattpad. The real positioning battle happens on AO3, all right? Not Wattpad. No one's using Wattpad anymore. It's AO3 or nothing.
It's 2025, guys. Let's get
exactly. What are we, Tumblr in 2014? Wattpad. I mean, AO3 is Tumblr in 2015, but at least it stuck around.
What are we fucking talking about?
F1 fanfiction. We're doing it. 1 week we're doing F1 fanfiction stream. We're gonna read F1 fanfics. I'm gonna go on Tumblr. I'm gonna remember what my password for Tumblr is, and we're gonna do it.
No, you're not. No,
I am.
You're gonna have to reset that bitch.
We'll see. All right. Pick the podium. We're gonna go in order here. Andrew, you are first. It is just in alphabetical order, except Dave is at the end because he joined in late. Um, so
I mean, I think it's only fair that I pick since returning
you,
champion
you,
here.
he is the reigning champ, and he won a prize last year. I guess I should say that Andrew won a prize. I bought him a Haas hat, his favorite team, when I made him pick a team. Um,
Which I
so
do wear, by the way, because it's a top tier hat.
hey man, I got that. I got that hat for like I think that hat was $30.
That sounds about right for a hat.
On Amazon. So I don't know if there's going to be a prize this year. I'm thinking about. There will be a prize for whoever wins, unless I win. I'm not going to get myself a prize.
I'll get you a
Um,
drive.
Nate says that you wore the hat while helping Nate move. Can
I did.
confirm. It's a good hat. I've seen him wear that hat. Um, there will be a prize. I don't know what it'll be. It'll probably be around the same. Well, I have an idea, but we'll see what happens as the season go on. If I can, we'll see what happens. But I have some ideas, but I'm not going to tell you what they are. So, Andrew, as our reigning champ and as the first name in alphabetical order, uh, who is your podium? Pick the podium first, second, and third.
So, uh, I'm I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go because first meet. Uh, I'm gonna say, stick with the tried and true. It's gonna be rainy. I think there's gonna be a lot of crashes. So in third, I got Leclerc coming in third.
Okay. Leclerc in third.
I got Norris in second, and
Okay.
I got Max in first,
You got
and
who
I
in first?
Verstappen
All
because
right.
if it does rain, was it Brazil last year where he just completely
17th to first.
just dominated everyone in the rain?
Yes.
I
He
think
won his
it.
first ever race in the rain. Fun
The
fact.
rain is a great equalizer in F1. I'm learning. So
Yes, it
I
is. It
think
very much is.
I think
Rain makes it about the
Hamilton.
drivers, not about the cars.
I think Hamilton comes close. I think like fourth or fifth maybe, but I don't think he podiums.
Nate said he's hating, by the way. He says he's hating your prediction. Um,
Nate,
Hardcore
get on my
hating.
level first before you decide to hate on me.
Oh, yeah, Nate, you didn't even get second last year. Sam got second. Sam beat you and me. How embarrassing. I got dead last, but I was throwing out weird predictions. My list is gas, Dave said. We'll get to your list. All right, I'm gonna agree with Andrew. I do think Verstappen is gonna win the race. My predictions are Verstappen, and then I have, and this is crazy, Russell, and then I have Hamilton. That's my prediction. Verstappen, Russell, Hamilton. Mercedes is good in colder weather. When it rains, it's cold. I think they're slightly faster. I think they're going to qualify better than Ferrari. I have Hamilton third. I'm not convinced on Russell being second. I was torn between Russell and Piastri, and I still might change it to Piastri. Um, I am going to change it to Piastri because it's his home race. I think he's got it. I'm not picking Norris, not because I don't believe in McLaren, but because Norris is horrible. He's got a really bad track record in the rain. So I just don't know. I'm torn between Russell. You know what? Russell was my first. I'm going to go Russell. I'm just going to run with it. Verstappen, Russell, Hamilton. I'm just going with it. For what, even if it's a dry race, if it doesn't rain, I just have this vision that Hamilton's getting third. I don't know why. So that's my prediction. Verstappen, Russell, Hamilton. Nate, you are in chat. You texted me your it's going to end up being Kimmy instead of Russell. Nate says, I don't know about that. Nate did send me his predictions. I'm going to Do you want to say them in chat, Nate, or do you just want me to write them in? I'm going Russell. I am going Russell. I was torn between Russell and Piastri. I'm just going to go with my gut. I had Russell first. All right, I can write them in. Nate's predictions were Norris, Leclerc, Piastri. That's Nate's predictions. Norris, Leclerc, for Piastri. Nate is a Mercedes fan, or a McLaren fan. I'm sorry, in case anyone forgot. Sam, Verstappen, Hamilton, Piastri. So there's a lot. There's some Piastri's made the podium. Nate, are you gonna actually pick Piastri to win this year? We'll see. And Dave has said Gasly, Leclerc, and Behrman. So Dave is our resident schizo poster, and I love that for him. So those are the predictions. I love my wacky racers, he says. You feel like Piastri is going to get screwed by McLaren's strategy, Nate says. I feel like Norris is going to screw himself up because every time he races in the rain, he does. No offense to Norris. Um, I just McLaren. The problem with the rain is Ferrari always has horrible strategy in the rain, which is why I have Hamilton in third. They just don't. They always mess it up, and for whatever reason, so does McLaren. Like McLaren does not adapt their strategy to rain at all. It feels like they pick a strat like they're like on it's like Wednesday, and they're like, all right, if it rains, this is what we're gonna do. No matter what the rain looks like, if it rains, we're doing this, and then they don't deviate from that. And Ferrari, is Ferrari, and we all know what happens with them in terms of strategy. Um, if it doesn't rain, Nate, you might be right. You might get 100%. You might add to your total of perfect race weekends. You have one, Sam has one, Andrew has two. I have zero. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. The scoring is first gets 25 points, second is 18, third is 15, just like in an actual race, like, the actual F1 scoring. And the right place, wrong position scoring has been changed from 5 to 8. And if that still isn't enough, we'll increase it next year. Those are the predictions. They're locked in. You cannot change them. I know I changed mine from Russell to Piastri, but I changed it back to Russell. Dave has as many perfect races as me. We are the same. That is true. I get too in my own head on these predictions. I think I have too much hope in I have Piastri to win like way more than anyone else, I think. So I had way too much, and I didn't want to pick Norris because I'm a hater. So that's my downfall is I can let my emotions run my predictions and not logic. But that's okay. I'm just a Sith, not a Jedi or whatever. Sorry, that was like the nerdy. That was the most loser thing I've ever said in my life. I have a girlfriend, believe it or not. That is
Shocking.
that is damn. Why? What the hell, man? That's
And piling on here.
yeah. Nate's is my sleeper dark horse pick. I should have made is going to be Leclerc, Norris, Kimmy. Well, too late. We'll see if that's right. If that is what the finishing order is, that's going to be really funny. Um, the That's it for the week. Next week we will have the Australia review and the what is it? China? It's China or Japan? It's one of the two. Hold on, I'm looking it up. Is it China or Japan next week? It is China, so we'll have the China preview next week. It'll be a bit. Maybe we'll try. This ended up going long too, but maybe we'll try and zip through the review. Um, so that's gonna be it. If you are watching this on YouTube, what did I say? Oh, what did I say for YouTube commenters to comment? Bold race predictions or something about Alpine or something like that. I don't know.
Sauber fans.
Oh yeah, Sauber fans. If you're a Sauber fan, let me know in the comments. Let's get a Sauber hype train going in the comments. All right, thank you everyone for joining. Nate and Dave, thank you for joining in the chat. We'll be live in a week from now, and we'll
Dave,
see.
long time no see. I miss you, friend.
We'll see how everyone's podium predictions go. Um, Thank you and good night.